Hey guys, what's up? Really excited to be here for the Men of Character conference. Really happy to talk to you guys about what I think is a really important topic, which is how to ask for anything so you actually get it. Get the job, get the girl, get the raise, make the sale, even if you've failed miserably at those things in the past. So this will be a really exciting presentation. Really excited to go over with you. So first, like I said, really excited to have you on board. This is really cool. When Bill came to me, I was like, "This is awesome. I got to be part of this. I love his idea. I love the other people who are working on this conference. So this is gonna be a lot of fun." So first question you might be asking is, who am I, right? Who is this? Who is this weird guy who's telling me how to ask for stuff? I think I've been asking for stuff my whole life. What's the deal? So my name's Noah, and I'm a sales consultant and coach. I help salespeople, entrepreneurs, executives, and other folks as well. That's where I focus, though, on really figuring out what's in the way for what it is they want and how they can go and get it. And one of the things I find in my practice is that there's so many things that people could easily change without changing anything else. Get as long as they figured out how to ask better. People, generally speaking, are really piss poor at asking. I find this across my clients, and that's what I spend my time doing. A lot of it, anyway, is saying, "Okay, what does you want? And let's make sure we're actually asking for it in an effective way." We're going to go through that here in this talk. We're going to talk about what it means to ask effectively, how you might be asking ineffectively, what are the problems in terms of asking, and what are the opportunities in terms of asking well. And at the end of this, I'm going to give you guys a really special free gift from me to really help you with this, because it's one thing for me to just talk to you about it for a little bit. It's another thing to implement into your daily actions. This is what I make sure my clients do. And so I'm going to give you a free gift that I use with my clients to help you along the ways of getting what you want by asking effectively. Okay, so first let's talk about what's the problem, right? What's the problem with asking, right? Here's the biggest problem. Biggest problem is you think you're asking for what you want. You probably think you're asking for what you want. You're getting frustrated because you're saying, "Well, I asked for that. I wanted that raise. I wanted that sale. I wanted to get that meeting. I wanted to do this, that, or the other thing." And you're saying, I'm asking for it. And you're only frustrated because it's not happening the way you wanted. And you don't really know what to do. And the thing I'm going to tell you is, I'm almost positive that you're not asking effectively. If you're not asking effectively, you're not going to get what you want. The first thing to recognize is that you think that you're doing it properly, and you're actually not. I think it's because really you don't know what you want. Again, in my practice, I talk to people, and they'll tell me, I want to. I was just talking to someone today. I want to have to get my company to do things better. And I said, "Do you really? Do you really want that? Like, do you want to fix their sales processes?" I said, "Do you really want that? Like, why?" It's like, "Well, I want it for my resume, for a better job." I said, "Oh, so you want a better job? If you just did this process, if you just helped them get a better process and it didn't mean anything for you, you probably wouldn't care, right?" So you really got to understand what it is you want before you get frustrated about what it is you think you're asking for and you're not getting. And like I said, to the extent that you do ask, your asks are pretty shitty. This is a PG-13 at least presentation, by the way, guys. So, there's going to be some F-bombs probably dropped in here. So, but again, this is the Men of Character Conference, not the Boys of Character Conference. So I'm going to suggest everyone here, I'm going to assume everyone here is an adult. So, but yeah, your asks are really shitty, and we're going to work on that. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to say is that you're vague. Your asks are probably horribly, horribly vague. You have not put specificity around what it is what you want. Let's look at the things you want. Like, let's take on a piece of paper right now if you want. I want more money. I want a better job. I want to move. None of those things are possible. You cannot get those things because you wouldn't know who to ask, and it couldn't be given. You wouldn't know what it was if you got it. If I said, oh, it's like, oh, I want to move. Okay, where? Here's a one-way ticket to Juneau, Alaska. Oh, why do you want to move there? Okay, where do you want to move to? I mean, the analogy I like is Waze. You know, the app, the travel app, Waze, right? So you're trying to go somewhere. You don't put into Waze, I want to go somewhere. Where? Somewhere better. Okay, well, what do you mean by that? Someplace cool, someplace interesting. No, you need to say, I want to go to 123 Main Street in Anytown, USA. Assuming Anytown's a real place. You know, I want to go to One Park Avenue, New York, New York, 10016. Right? It can get you there, but it can't get you to somewhere better. So you need to start looking and say, where are you being vague, and where is that vagueness uh, really crippling your ass? This is a really great quote I love from Tim Ferriss, 4 Hour Workweek guy, talking about, he says, life punishes the vague wish and rewards the specific ask. If you're frustrated and you can't tell me that your asks are anything but vague, the chances are it's not specific enough. But by getting specific, the world can actually respond, because when you say, this is what I want, and this is by what, and we'll get into what it means to have an effective ask, you're able to channel the power of the universe, because, from not a woo-woo kind of way, but just in a reality, right? If you say, I want to get a job as a senior product director at, Acme Incorporated in Indianapolis, Indiana, there's a finite number of ways to do that, and a finite number of people who could grant that to you, and it starts to channel your power on that. We're getting into that a little bit further, but I just want you to think about this again. Life punishes the vague wish and rewards the specific ask. So the first thing I want to say is that there's a reason why you're probably not asking. And I think that's because, in all likelihood, you don't feel you have the right to ask. You don't feel you have the right to be that specific. You might say, well, I want a raise, or I want a better job, or I want whatever sort of things we just said, right? And you never narrow it down to anything less, because I work with my clients and they're saying, well, I don't want to close off options, right? And in my mind, that's like, they'll say, well, I want a job at a big company, let's say, or company over 1,000 people, right? Again, big is relative. Let's go specific. And then their friend says, hey, I got my friend who's got a 2-person boutique agency hiring. And they go, oh, that could be interesting. And you sort of, you get your head on a swivel, because you're concerned that you're missing out on something. You feel like you didn't, what you asked for, the root of that is what you asked for wasn't, you weren't sure you had the right to even ask for it. You weren't sure you had the right to be that clear. What I'm saying is, not only do you have the right to ask, you have the obligation to ask. All right? If you're going to channel your power, right, for yourself and for your family, you have the obligation to be as effective as possible. And your vague asks diffuse your power. I want you to think of like a laser, right? A laser is just a bunch of light, but it's been focused in a very, very small space. It's no different than any other form of light, except for how it's been channeled. And that's why we talk about laser focus. That's all that is. It's taking diffused power and making it and focusing it and putting it into small space and concentrating. Okay, so let's look at also, again, the cost of ineffective ask. Talked a little bit about this though, right? But the cost of your ineffective ask, you're getting frustrated. If you're coming home after work and you're like, I can't believe my boss did this, I can't believe that, da 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 da. The question becomes, did you ask effectively? If you're upset about someone who cut you off in the middle of the road, and you're like, oh, I can't believe he did this, did you ever ask him to do differently? You assumed he was going to behave in a certain way, but you never asked him. Now, I get there's certain practicality around that, but the point is this. It's no different than any other frustration surrounded by vague and unspoken asks. When you have vague and unspoken asks, you get stressed out, you get angry. Zig Ziglar used to talk about kicking the cat, and someone kicked the cat, and that so they got mad, and then or like a kid kicked a cat, so the kid got mad, and the kid went to school, and the kid acted out, and his teacher got pissed off, and his teacher went home and yelled at his wife, or what, like it's the downstream effects of these things. These are some serious costs. All right, and then of course from a monetary perspective, none of that stuff is good for wealth generation, for being angry, frustrated, not focusing on the things that are important, not going for what you want, and not feeling you even can. Okay, so I want you to think about that, the cost of an effective ask. All right, I'm going to tell you right now, the culprit is fear. It's always fear. Again, we talked a little bit about this. You're afraid to ask for what you want. You're afraid to be that specific. You're afraid to say, this is what should happen, and this is what I'm going to make happen. If you weren't, you wouldn't be assuming people should act in certain ways. You wouldn't be frustrated then when they don't. You wouldn't be asking things that someone can't answer. I had a prospect I was talking to, a coaching prospect, who was saying, oh, I told my boss that I don't like how things are going. I said, okay, well, what do you want from him? He's like, well, I want more control. Okay, what does that mean? And at every point, it was so clear how unspecific he was. And it was very clear that he was afraid to actually ask for anything specific. He was afraid. And that's okay, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Just recognize it, okay? So then, of course, the question becomes, how do we handle it? How do we handle that fear? Because it's hard, right? Until you handle that, you're gonna keep repeating the same problems over and over again. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about that, right? So as a coach, I deal with mindset, right? I don't do anything for my clients because they're the ones who do. They do the stuff in their lives. We just figure out what are good strategies to do those things. They see. For the same reason, I like to say that I'm not responsible for anything when they're very happy, and then they say, well, because I didn't do anything. Really, at the end of the day, no one can do anything for anyone. You have to do it for yourself. But you have to be in the right mindset to make those things happen. Okay. And so the way I like to start is, why not me? I'm telling you right now, the reason you're going to ask for what you want, you're not being specific about it, is you feel you don't have the right. You feel you're afraid to ask. You're afraid of what someone's going to say. You're afraid someone's going to laugh at you. You're afraid you're going to get fired. You're afraid that you, at the end of the day, it comes down to, who are you to ask for what you want? Who are you to ask for that thing? Whatever that is. Well, I'm going to say the answer, the question you should ask yourself is, why not me? What's your excuse for not asking for what you want? The way I like to see this is that someone out there is doing what you want to do, and they're dumber than you, they're less educated, they're any of those things that you are using as excuses, and they're doing what you want to do right now. I want you to think about that individual right now. Right now, think about the person in your life that maybe it's someone you went to high school with, maybe it's someone you went to college with, maybe it's a coworker who's got all those deficiencies that you blame for yourself for not being able to ask for what you want, and they have what you want right now. All right? What excuse do you have for not asking for what you want? I want you to think about that for a minute. Anyway, we have a lot to talk about. I want to kind of move on a little bit here. Let's talk about what it means to be ineffective in your ass. Okay. Again, we talked a little about this. I want more money, right? Well, here's $1. Shut up, right? If I give you a dollar, you have more money than you had before. So saying you want more money is bullshit. So, that's the deal. You need to realize the ineffectiveness of that sort of lack of specificity. I want a better job in a good industry. Totally subjective. There's a million possible answers for that, right? Okay, well, how would you know if you even got it? What's better? What's a good industry, right? There's what I think is better or a good industry might be different from you, right? You need we'll talk about what an effective ask for those sort of things is, but these are ineffective asks, right? And then I want to be happy, of course. Like how could I be happy? What? I can't even get started on that. All right. So what are the benefits of asking well? Right. The benefits of asking well are, again, we talked a little bit about this earlier, channeling the power of people around you who can actually do something. If you say I'm looking for a job, you can get anything from a window washer to, anything coming over the transom that someone's like, oh, hey, I know someone who's hiring. But that's not what you want. You want the things you really want. You want things that'll channel your creativity in the best way, right? You want things that are strengths for you, not weaknesses, right? You want things that make you better. And you can only do that if you channel the power of those around you who want to help you. Your loved ones want to help you. Your friends want to help you. They all want to help you. So how can we make that happen? You do that by asking well, like asking things in a way where there is a finite number of answers to the question and a finite number of people who can either help you or know how to help you. All right, let's go with some examples of effective asks. Okay, well, there's one. Asking a hiring manager, I'd like a $10,000 raise in my annual salary this fiscal year. How can we make that happen? Now, of course, you have to be prepared to say why you want it, what you'll do for exchange for it. But if you're asking your hiring manager and not just someone in your office or your wife or who knows what, oh, I want to make more money. I want 10 grand. I want a $10,000 raise in your salary. So you're not even talking about any at-risk comp or commission or anything. You want that in your salary for this fiscal year. That's when you want it, the end of the fiscal year, however many months that's left. How can we make that happen? Right? Then your boss is going to say, well, he wants 10 grand. Huh. What can I do to make that happen? What could I make him, what could he do to be worth that 10 grand? Right? You can work collaboratively on that. And he might give you some guesses or, some suggestions or, but at the end of the day, it's going to come back to saying, okay, well, here's my suggestion. Here's a good ask. Here's a suggestion. If I did this, that, and the other thing, would you be able to give me a $10,000 raise by the end of this fiscal year? Not eventually, by the way. This fiscal year, an effective ask has to have a time frame on it. Otherwise, it'll go on forever. And then he'll say yes or no. He'll move the mountains that need to be moved, or he doesn't. If he doesn't, then you move on to someone else. But at least you have an answer. You don't get frustrated. All right? Here's another one. I'm seeking a senior product manager role at X, Y, or Z company, right? Do you know any of these individuals there? You present a list to people. That's super effective. You go to say, here are the directors of product management at X, Y, and Z company. I'm looking, who can help me out with this? There was this thing I saw a few years ago called The Buried Life. Yeah, that's what it was. And it was just these kids who decide, 22 years old, is they have a bucket list of sorts, and they just start going around asking for them. So they would do a TV show, and the first one was we want, I want a date with Megan Fox. So they figured out ways to get on the red carpet to harass her for a date. They didn't get one, but or they had one. They said they wanted to play basketball with Obama when he was in office. All right, they wanted to play basketball with the sitting president of the United States. They didn't get it in that episode, but then it later came out that someone they knew someone's secretary in the White House or something, and they ended up doing it. These kids got to play basketball with Obama. That's crazy. While he was president of the United States, you think he's got other things to do, and yet a bunch of kids were able, it's crazy. It's great. All asking effectively. They knew what they wanted, and they started asking everyone they could. They don't want to just play sports with a famous person. They want to play basketball with Obama, who they know plays basketball. And they figured, we should probably talk to people in D.C. and in government, right, who know this one individual, the most powerful person on the planet. You want to ask your significant other, I want to set up regular family, a regular Friday evening date night outside of the house without the kids. Would you commit to that with me, right? So it's pretty specific, right? It's a recurring thing you're asking for on Fridays at night outside the house without the kids, right? It's pretty specific. I mean, maybe you could say we go bowling or something like that, but I mean, obviously in the context of this, you want to be able to have some options each Friday. But at the end of the day, it's pretty specific. if you say, oh, my wife, she's not affectionate anymore or whatever. It's like, well, what have you done to try to make sure that you're strengthening your relationship in a specific way? This is a specific ask. It might not be the ask for your relationship, but it is at least one to solve that general problem of my wife and I are losing connection. All right. This sounds so obvious, I know, but no one does it. I'm telling you, I've built a coaching practice around this. No one does this. If every ask that came out of your mouth had this sort of specificity, your life would change overnight. Overnight. You just got to have the balls to do it. So here's the challenge, right? They got a bunch of challenges here, right? Or it's really one challenge with several different parts, right? You need to ask for something, all right? Remember, specific, hard edges, a thing that has a finite view of it, right? A job as a product manager at X, Y, or Z company is effective. I want a better job at a better company is not. All right. Something you actually want. All right. So it's like, I want a raise, a date, whatever. Like, not something that's like, I don't know. I kind of want to go skydiving. When you don't really want to go skydiving, you're just kind of saying it. Like, something you actually want. Like, yeah, I want a raise. I want a date with that girl. I want that offer. I want a signature on that contract. All right. Of someone who could reasonably give it to you. Right, your boss, your spouse, friend, vendor, whatever. So you're asking the right people, right? We talked about this. You need to, you can't bitch at people who have the, don't have the, by the way, in sales, they talk about like, you don't want to talk to someone who has the authority to say no and not the authority to say yes. Here's the thing. You're doing worse than that. You're not only asking people who don't have the authority to say no, you're asking people who don't have the authority to say anything. How ridiculous is that? You're complaining to your friend about your wife. You're complaining to your coworker about your boss. These are ineffective asks. All right. All right. And the next thing is that something they might reasonably say yes to. So no farcical asks like, give me $1 billion, right? Because then you're setting yourself up for failure because your fear is just telling you can't get it anyway. No, it's like I want a $10,000 raise. Maybe you make it simpler than that. You say I want a debt. I want a standing desk. I want to go to that conference that costs $1,000 to attend. That's something that they could reasonably give you, right? It's not outside the realm of possibility. It's not outside the realm of what's it called? Of what's reasonable, right? But here's the kicker, right? They're probably not going to give it to you, right? At least not at first, right? So not a given. Like, can you give me that pencil? Come on, guys. All right. If you're asking someone, hey, can you give me a $10,000 raise, a $20,000 raise? They're probably not going to say say yes right off the bat. Like they might say like, I got to think over, or let's talk later, or whatever. And there's a different way to deal with that. But at least you know that it's not just something like, yeah, sure, here's my pencil, get out of my face. Because that's not pushing you, right? You need to ask for something you could actually have a reasonable chance of getting a no to. Okay. So I want you to try that. Think about what it is you could ask for in that regard. It's important. All right, remember, super important. You deserve to get for what you want. You deserve to ask for what you want. But you're not going to get it unless you're specific. Very important. All right. So running out of time here, I want to say I have a little, like I mentioned, a gift for you. I have a free guide to getting you started. It's at this site here, tinyurl.com/askforanything. And it's a guide to go through the process that we discussed here in this talk. And just a way to say, hey, like, is this specific enough? Is it effective? Am I asking the right people? And I think it'll be something that'll really help you out in trying to really clarify what it is you want and how you're going about it effectively. So I urge you really to go for that now. I think it'll be extremely helpful for you. And it will change your life overnight. Change your life if you start asking for what you want, and you can really ask for anything. Anyway, so thank you so much, guys. I really, really appreciate it. You guys are absolutely awesome. Thank you, Bill, for bringing me on here. Thank you to all the other contributors. This was a lot of fun, and I really hope you start figuring out the ways to ask for what you want. Sign up for the free guide here, and remember, you deserve to ask for what you want. Talk to you guys later.